Hey, what is going on, everybody out there? This is Jakejames Lugo. Welcome to the channel and welcome to this brand new JJ's One Man Podcast. Hopefully, you guys are having a good Easter weekend overall, whether you celebrate Easter or not, or if you celebrate Passover or whatever else that you celebrate. If you're having a good time, if you're having a chill time, that's all that matters. I know I'm having a chill time. I'm celebrating Easter this weekend. Gonna have some nice food, nice drinks, nice chocolates and candies. It's gonna be dope. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're actually here to talk about something that I just wanted to get off my chest and kind of get off my mind because I was thinking about it after reading up some stuff that was passed around about the Super Mario Brothers movie. Now, if you haven't already, definitely go check out my review of Super Mario Brothers, the movie, over on the Clownfish TV, the Super Mario Brothers movie. Not the bad one from like the early 90s. I'm talking about the new Super Mario Brothers movie that I just reviewed over on Clownfish TV. It's a full review about it, talks about a whole bunch of stuff. Ended up giving it about a 7 out of 10. I felt was fair, and there's a lot of reasons for it. But if you want to know the specifics, go read it up over there. But the reason why I want to talk about it is because I know a lot of the different reviewers out there, a lot of the critics have been a little harsh on it. There's been some places that have been a little bit overly harsh, I'll admit. But a lot of people are talking about this movie. And in particular, one spot, obviously, is IGN. They did their review of the Super Mario Brothers movie, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. Where a lot of the discourse started to come up now more recently, as of like a day or two ago. They actually published this editorial. Okay, it's by Amelia Emberwing, who actually did this editorial saying, gentle reminder that the Super Mario Brothers movie is for children. Now, obviously with the headline, that's a little bit of a, not really like a hook, but it's a little like goading people, especially if all you do is read the headlines. But, like I do, how I give due diligence to everything, and I don't always jump to assumptions on a lot of stuff. I read it, unlike a lot of other people at times that when it comes to headlines, they don't read stuff. They don't really get into the meat and potatoes of what's being published out there. But I decided to read it, and I'm going to be honest with you. This entire thing is a lame take. And I saw this, after I saw it on Twitter, I read it and everything else. I shared it on Twitter, reposting it and giving my opinion. And I said, this is a very lame take. And for a number of reasons. And funny enough, a lot of other people in the replies and the comments and other spots that were talking about this particular editorial, really were agreeing with me for one reason or another. And here's my stance on it. Here's my perspective, because I really feel like this is a lame take. And it's a lame take for a number of reasons. Number one, the Super Mario Brothers movie isn't really just geared at kids. It's not really just geared at children. What we have to do is we have to look at family movies, which is really what this movie is. It's geared towards families. Family movies aren't just movies for kids. Now, we say that a lot because there's a lot of kiddie aspects to some of these movies. There's a lot of colorful aspects and a lot of things that we don't associate with more like mature cinema, mature film. Things like, live action films, watching something like Air as opposed to something like Dungeons and Dragons, or again, Super Mario Brothers movie, or even John Wick Chapter 4. Like, obviously, wildly different genres, wildly different takes on movie making, wildly different stories, all this different stuff. But the one thing about animated films that gets a lot of scrutiny from a lot of people that a lot of live action films don't get is that because they're animated and because they have a very different take that they're usually looked at and viewed as cartoons, that they're automatically assumed to be just fodder for kids, as a distraction and not really deep storytelling or stuff that, adults can really get something out of this. I feel like that's a lame take. And in application to the Super Mario Brothers movie, this is a movie that's not just geared for kids. This is a movie geared towards families and more specifically geared towards people that are Nintendo fans. Whether you've been a Nintendo fan since 1985 or 1984, playing the original Super Mario Brothers on the NES, or even if you were a fan of Mario games or just Mario in general, or even Nintendo titles like the original Donkey Kong from 1981, obviously you're going to have some sort of resonance with this movie. There's references in this film from anywhere from Donkey Kong with Jumpman, by the way, who's voiced by Charles Martinet. That's a dope little Easter egg in there for fans. All the way through like Punch-Out, stuff like, Balloon Fight, the Ice Climbers, a whole bunch of stuff. Any Mario game you could think of, there's some sort of reference in here, whether it's old Mario or new Mario games, anywhere from like Galaxy, Super Mario 64, Mario Kart, Super Mario World, like the list goes on. This is clearly a movie that's geared towards multiple people, not just kids. Because I'll tell you right now, young kids, that people that are having kids now that are like maybe 8 to 10 years old, maybe even a little less, they're not going to know these references. They're not going to care, to be honest with you. But the adults in the room, the parents in the room, or even the people that are around them are going to care, and they're going to recognize that. And if the kids are curious about it, the kids don't know about this stuff and they're like a little confused, they have their parents there to ask them that probably know about this stuff, is probably the reason why they're going to this movie in the first place. Let's be honest here. A lot of people that are Nintendo fans are going to go see this movie, whether you're part of a family or not. And what I find with this type of take from IGN, from Amelia, who wrote the article, I feel like this take is lame because it almost dismisses any sort of criticism being said about the film, about the Super Mario Brothers movie. And that's whack, to be honest with you, because I've criticized this movie and I gave it a 7 out of 10, but I gave it fair criticism where I feel like there's certain things about the story, certain things about the world that you can't criticize that are fair. I don't agree with a lot of the critics out there or some of the reviews that have been passed around, giving this movie a very low score, like in the 40s or the 30s. Like, that's a little harsh. There was even Grace Randolph. A lot of people gave her crap for her review about the Super Mario Brothers movie, and I understood where she was coming from, but I nowhere near agree that she feels, and what she feels is, this is the worst Illumination movie, worse than some of the Minions movies out there or anything else that's like really bad for Illumination as a studio. I don't agree with that at all. This movie is fun. This movie definitely has some stuff for everybody. This movie's colorful. It has a lot of great nods. It has a lot of great moments within it that are just like, whether it's action or just like little gotcha moments and stuff, and even moments of humor that I did chuckle a few times. It's not as good as a lot of the other animated films that have come out, but at the same time, regardless of how you feel about it, that doesn't mean that we can't talk critically about this movie. And that's why I felt like this editorial over on IGN was really kind of getting at, and it was like almost dismissing a lot of the different criticism that many people on social media and other reviews have had about the Super Mario Brothers movie, saying that, look, we're taking it too seriously. It's a movie that's geared towards 8-year-olds. It's a movie geared towards kids. And I don't agree with that. I think that's a very lame take. That's a very misguided take too. Because if you're someone that looks at a lot of film, especially if you look at a lot of animated movies as of recently, which you guys probably know where I'm going with this if you saw my tweets not too long ago, that we've had movies like the Lego movie, Lego Batman as well, which are phenomenal family movies that at first glance you would think it's geared towards kids, but it's not. It's geared towards families that have deeper storytelling and much more interesting and deep layered themes to them, even though they're under the guise of like this really kiddie idea and concept of being Legos. The same thing could also be said with Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, which last year I felt was one of the better movies last year. That was so dope. That's a family movie, or a quote unquote kids movie, that has concepts of death in it, with the whole big bad wolf and stuff. And it really gets deep, and it's stuff that's like, some kids are going to have some conversations with their parents at some point. But my point is that there's a lot of layered stuff going on with some of these animated films. And just because they're animated, just because they're colorful and they're dealing with stuff like video games, in this case with Mario Brothers and Nintendo games, that doesn't mean that we can't be critical about them. That doesn't mean that we can't have a discussion about them critically, or at least have some sort of negative view on certain aspects of it, while being fair at the same time. This article, to me, it says like we're taking it way too seriously, but I don't think we are. I don't think we are taking it way too seriously. I think that we're having a discussion, and because people don't want to hear the criticism, people want to enjoy the things they want to enjoy, which is fair. But because they don't want to hear the criticism, they automatically dismiss it as everybody being way too serious over something that doesn't need to be taken seriously. If we're critics and we're reviewers out here, we're taking film seriously in some form, because we're talking about so many movies. We're talking about all the things we've seen. We're talking about our fandom, things that we love. A lot of Nintendo fans that are critics like myself that probably write reviews or do videos on YouTube and stuff, we're also having these same type of conversations because of our love for Nintendo, because of our love for video games, because of our love for Mario, whatever it might be. And I felt this whole editorial was so misguided. And here's the other thing too, and we have to talk about this because this goes hand in hand with a lot of the things I've been seeing, not just about this article, this editorial on IGN, but also about other things too. Even some of the people around this article that have been sharing it, probably part of IGN or whatnot, but stuff that I saw, okay? And I know a lot of people are probably going to get a little antsy about this. They're probably going to get a little annoyed that I'm talking about this, but I don't care, okay? Because we have to be honest here. We have to be honest with ourselves. This whole attitude being nasty towards the audience, especially when the audience doesn't agree with you or the audience doesn't validate your opinion, or even if the audience is very vocal in their disagreement with you, and stuff. I get it. A lot of us get many like nonsensical things thrown at us on Twitter and social media and such, but we're the professionals. We're supposed to be better than that. Like, we don't need to beef with the audience or have this obnoxious, like, crappy attitude towards the audience. This is what I'm seeing from like multiple different people, and it's been lingering for a long time. And a lot of people are either not saying anything about it or they just don't have the patience to deal with it. But I think at some point we have to address the elephant in the room. It's like, look, just because you put out an editorial out there, not everybody's going to agree with you, and you shouldn't have an attitude towards the audience that doesn't agree with you. Like what I saw in the comment section of that IGN article, and even in the posting on Twitter for the IGN article, right, in the replies, I saw a lot of people, including a lot of content creators, a lot of other developers, funny enough, a lot of other media people saying like, yo, like, what type of take is this? Like what is this take? What is this attitude? What is this like mindset? Like, the movie's not just for kids. Like, we can't just dismiss that just because we have an opinion about this movie. But then afterwards, when I would go look at the writers' Twitter and social media, like what they were saying or what other people around them were saying, it's like this obnoxious attitude towards all those people that have an opinion about your editorial. And it's like, come on, you can't be like that. Like, you can't just dismiss these people as being whatever name of the week that we're throwing at people just because they don't feel the same as you. Just because they don't agree with you, they don't validate your opinion because they don't agree that the Super Mario Brothers movie is just for children. Like, come on now. Like, what are we doing? Like, it's just silly. Again, we're supposed to be the professionals here. If you're working for a big outlet like IGN, there is some element of like, responsibility that you got to be a little bit better in handling your reactions to stuff on social media. And I get it. Like I said before, and I'll say it again because I know somebody's going to bring it up. Social media could be a real pain in the butt. The Twitter, especially as of lately anyway, could be a real pain in the butt for a lot of us. The games industry could be tough dealing with the audience. When you're in video games and you're putting content out there and you're writing about stuff, everybody who looks at your stuff is going to have an opinion and probably might not like you for whatever reason. But that doesn't mean you have to be like this broad, like, crappy attitude filled person or just take jabs right back at the audience for the sake of like these few things that you just don't like that people are saying about you. Or when the bulk of the audience disagrees with you, automatically you're going to call them names or you're going to say things about them or you're going to, again, have this obnoxious like mindset. I just don't agree with it. I think it's bad. It doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help with the conversation too. Like, look how long I've been talking about this alongside the stuff about the Mario Brothers movie, about the idea of whether it's for children or not. Because a lot of this stuff, unfortunately, goes hand in hand, especially when you see this stuff being shared around on social media. I think the majority of the time, if I'm being real, right? The majority of the time, the audience and the people that are the most vocal on Twitter that have something legit to say, not just trolling, okay? Not everybody's trolling when they say these things, right? But like the majority of the audience that actually has something to say and contribute and actually bring in some like, criticism or something positive as far as like the usefulness of their thoughts into the discussion, they're not trying to troll. I think that they just want to talk about the topic at hand and they don't want to talk about how the audience is such and such or that the writers are such and such or any of these other things. I don't think they always go to that, at least from what I've seen. And I've seen a lot. So some people might disagree with me on that, but I've seen a lot to really kind of come to that conclusion. You're always going to have those bad apples on social media and stuff, but I don't think that those bad apples represent the masses of what's on social media or the masses of the audience that are reacting to a lot of this content. I just feel like we as, again, in the media, as creators, as individuals, as professionals, need to be better with the way that we conduct ourselves, in reaction to that reaction that we're doing or that we're getting for our content. So just because the audience is nasty sometimes doesn't mean that we have to be nasty to everybody else around us, like that. That's just my opinion. I know that some people will disagree with it. I know that a lot of other creators, especially if you get a lot of crap for the things that you do, might disagree with me on that. I don't necessarily think that's necessarily an indication of you as a person. Maybe you might have to adjust things here and there. That might be other issues, but I get it and I understand it. But I'm of the mindset that in the times that I've had bad stuff come up from the audience or from other people, based on like what I had an opinion about or a review that I did or a take that I had and stuff, I'm not out here trying to be crappy towards other people. So maybe others shouldn't do the same thing and you probably wouldn't have that same type of vibe linger around. So anyway, to get back on topic, like I said, I felt that the take that IGN had with their writer was lame about the Super Mario Brothers movie. I feel like it's understandable why everybody reacted the way they did. And, we could talk critically about the stuff that we love. We're allowed to be critical about the things that we follow or that we watch or that we are a fan of. You know, whether we love things or that we hate things or whatever the reason might be. We're allowed to be part of those discussions, and it shouldn't be dismissed just because one group or one person feels like everybody's taking things too seriously. It might be too serious for you. You might not want to be part of those conversations. That's fine. You don't have to be. But everybody else wants to talk about this stuff. And based on what I've seen with this movie, it's a lot more deeper and a lot more layered and a lot more applicable to more people than just kids. But I digress. That's just my thoughts. That's just my opinion. That's just my take on the matter. Let me know what you guys think about all this stuff in the comments section down below. Tell me, do you agree with me or do you agree with some of the other stuff that's being said about this movie, about the Super Mario Brothers movie specifically? Did you get a chance to read the IGN article? Did you get a chance to check out the comments or whatever else? Talk to me about all that stuff in the comment section down below. Make sure you leave a like on this video. It helps out the channel immensely. Make sure you guys also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. I've been putting up a lot of content and also specifically a lot of YouTube shorts because for whatever reason, my YouTube shorts are getting out there a lot more than my regular videos, which sucks because I put a lot of time and effort into my regular videos, like my reviews that I did not too long ago, like my Jade Empire review. Not a lot of people saw that. But a lot of people saw, like a good couple grand of people saw the last couple of YouTube shorts that I put out, which, you know, I wish that all my videos were getting those types of numbers. But if you can, share some of my stuff out there. Check out and interact with some of the videos if you guys could as well. And it would be really helpful for the channel overall. And be on the lookout for brand new content because I got new video reviews all over the horizon. I got more discussions like this. I got more gameplay videos to actually show you guys based on games that I have that are embargoed right now. But hopefully next week or the week after, they'll lift up and I'll be able to play them for you guys. So be on the lookout for all that stuff. But anyway, I will talk to all of you again very soon. Peace out and stay epic, everybody.